All right, welcome back to The Link, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging with us on a Wednesday morning, the day after Guam's historic first ever congressional runoff election. Congratulations to Michael San Nicolas, the incumbent. Presumably, he is the presumptive winner and will return to his seat in Washington, D.C. as our delegate. There was other news yesterday, in case you missed it. Somewhat of a bombshell, because I know our Nestor Lecanto was going out on his assignments, and he was going to do a follow-up with Guam's State Historic Preservation Officer, who has a lot on that person's plate. Normally, and that is the operative word, that would be our friend Patrick Lujan, a member of the KUM family, because for many, many years he was a broadcaster. He has military duty. He will be gone until April, he told us, fulfilling his National Guard obligations. So, to fill in as the acting shippo, we have another member of the KUM family. Someone who is equally talented, equally cares about our community, and equally capable and very, very welcome here in the KUM News Zoom room on The Link. Carlotta Leon Guerrero. Half a day, Car. Good to see you as always.
Half a day, thank you. And it's always a pleasure to be back in KUAM.
In some fashion.
In some.
Yeah. Well, congratulations first on... I mean, this isn't a temporary appointment for sure, right? I mean, this is something that you have a very personal vested interest in taking care of the community in this regard. So maybe can you just give us a little bit of a backstory about how you actually found out that you would be named as the acting shippo?
Well, I wasn't really surprised. It really was the logical choice of the governor. Since she came into office, I've been involved in representing her office in all of the many workshops and meetings on the Programmatic Agreement. And so that's why I think within the administration, next to whoever the SHPO is, Patrick Lujan, and before Patrick, Linda. So I think I was a logical choice. I've been to all the meetings, read all the documents.
And since you know, it is part of your responsibilities to advise Adelup on military affairs, you know, this gives you a very unique perspective to now work hand in hand with the military. And I know when Nestor and I talked with you yesterday, you were mentioning that there are very specific activities and operations that the military wants to conduct here as part of their training and everything. I believe you mentioned air assault, which is when special operators will actually rappel from helicopters and doing things like that. And as part of your responsibility, you know, you're trying to work out and negotiate, I guess, if that's even the right word, to figure out what parts of the island can best be used for that without, you know, causing damage to our environment, correct?
That's correct. And then once that activity takes place, to make sure that there's ongoing efforts to that training event doesn't hurt either our cultural heritage, our historic heritage, and our environment. So yes, it's not just a one-time look-see. It's after every training event, the archaeologist will come in and take a look, and they'll prepare reports that will come back to us and let us know how points of significance, areas of significance, how they were affected by that training event. And I think that what I would point out to your viewers is that the draft programmatic agreement is up on www.historicguam.net, and it will be there for 30 days. And I think the agreement itself is about 27 pages, and it outlines the stipulations and how to object and how to resolve objections and how to terminate. Appendix A is where the people of Guam are going to get a greater look at, because we've gotten in greater detail a description and it's building an understanding and an awareness of the type of training that's going to go on. And so you get all different kinds of feelings for this. When you just hear it's military training, you can kind of feel a little distant from it, you know, and have your thoughts about it. But when you see that young people, 18, 19-year-olds, they're in a class, not a class, it's called, here's an example, one that impressed me. It's called Maneuver Convoy Land Navigation. And that's what you do when you're in a convoy. So they practice this. It's going to be practiced up north either Radio Barrigada
So basically,
area.
they're dropped in a place that they're not familiar with, and they have to do map reading to try and figure out, one, where they are, and then two, how to get out of there and reach their objective.
That's the one if you're dropped in by a helicopter. So they might, this is another one. This is a convoy training. So they're going to practice that they are in these convoy trucks driving around, and now a landmine goes off, and then they're under fire, and then they have to make a decision of abandoning the vehicle. So when you think about that kind of training that young Marines have to do, that they're in a hostile setting, and we've all heard these stories about landmines blowing up trucks and, you know, convoys under siege, but to hear that it's going to be that kind of training done here makes it very personal. And that's what I would say to everybody that's going to be looking at this, is to look at Appendix A. And the one that you were talking about, that I talked about with Nestor, was also interesting. Is it's called they're going to drop on fast ropes or rappelling from helicopters, and they called that quick insertion of forces, and all that about coming down on a knotted rope and how fast that is. And there's a lot of detail here. There's more detail on each of these training events than we have ever had, and now it's out in public for people to respond to. So we're anxious to see what kind of ideas that are going to come in. We think this is 100% better than what's on the books right now that is currently guiding us, our relationship with the military. So we're very, I'm very curious to see. It can only get better. Mm-hmm. This can only get better with more eyes on it and more input. So we'll see how much better it can get in the next 30 days.
Well, now I'm curious, as a former senator yourself, and now advising in this capacity, do you think, knowing what you know about the way things work in GovGuam, does current public policy, is it adequate as it stands right now for to allow with this relationship with the military and to properly plan and handle all the logistics and, with the communication with the community and then with our friends in uniform and everything like that? Or should we anticipate there's a lot more legislation that has to be proposed so that things can be handled the right way and Guam won't get the short end of the stick?
I think there's a lot more legislation that needs to go on the books.
Okay.
And I look forward to working with lawmakers. As an example, I think one of the things that they need to take a look at is the decibel levels. A short while ago, when we hear that Singapore Air Force is going to start training out here in Guam, I do some research on Singapore Air Force, and the guy that came to Guam to talk about training out here on Guam is responding to his home island, Singapore, saying, because the sound decibel levels of their training in Singapore has raised so much anger among their people. And his response is, okay, don't worry, we're going to go train out of here. We're going to go train somewhere else. So I'm hoping that the lawmakers would take a look at the sound decibel levels and get that in place. Mm-hmm. That's an example.
Okay. Well, now, that's kind of like looking at some of the things that are on the foreseeable future and on the horizon. As far as some of the work that Pat Lujan has ongoing and some of the projects that you've got currently on his plate that you now inherit, what are you working on right now, and what do you anticipate, your short-term, your workflow dealing with?
In the short term is to get this programmatic agreement signed by December 31st. As good as it is, if it can get better between now and then, that's what the governor would like to see for me to do. The other thing is to take a look at the staffing needs and the equipment needs of the SHPO's office. The idea there is we want to have timely, vigilant review of all the workload that's coming in there. So I'm having discussions with the staff at the office there, and finding out, there's a key position that's over at DOA waiting to get certified, and somebody, so that kind of thing. What's the latest equipment? What could we find funding for to beef up their capability? And then work with the legislature on whatever those increased needs are. And if I can't get it through the legislature, then to try to move it up into the National Defense Authorization Act or move it through different agencies in the United States federal level, as saying this is critical in order to be able to keep up with the needs of the military buildup. Mm-hmm. So first try it locally, and if no success, then take it up higher to the federal level and try to get funding for whatever those needs are, increased capacities and equipment.
Now, forgive me because I'm not aware if this is actually dealing with the economic component of the programmatic agreement. If that's on your job description right now, but it would be kind of crazy for the leaders to not say, here's Carlotta Leon Guerrero. She's an experienced, tenured public servant. She's got decades of experience underneath her belt. Do you anticipate that you will be brought in at least to those conversations about some of the economic gains that our island could see because of with the increase in training? There may be job opportunities for support staff. There may be things that pop up like that. Do you see yourself being part of those talks?
Yes, I do. I imagine so. And the senators are calling me into an oversight hearing on Monday on the programmatic agreement. So I'm sure we're going to have a wide-ranging discussion. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to working with them.
All right.
For people who want to review this draft programmatic agreement, where do they go? And do you foresee your office holding any sort of information campaign so people can be more aware of this public comment period?
I think that it's www.historicguam.net. So that's where they can go. It's up for 30 days. It's also, I believe, if it hasn't gone up, it will go up on the governor's website, also encouraging comment. I think that by doing the news release and now talking to all the media about this, I think we're beating the bushes pretty good here. Mm-hmm. I imagine that the stakeholders and activist community will take a look at this, and they might have their colleagues and friends at Earth Justice or other environmental groups take a look at this and do a deeper dive, environmental legal groups, and to see what they have. And I look forward to that. I can't wait to see what would come in, good ideas.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell us? Because I think you're not only accepting this public comment period for the programmatic agreement, but there's also another public comment period that's open, and it's for this, I want to say, Chamorro Shrine over at Ipao Point. Can you provide information about that?
Yes, it's the NAFTAN, and it's for the design to get final approval or to get comments before it goes to approval for the design. A number of years ago, let me see. I'm going through this. I think it was Tom Atta passed legislation, $100,000 to go towards the design, and it's taken a while to get to this point. So the NAFTAN is going to be the burial site of many of the remains of our ancestors that have been brought up from Tumon. And other sites around the island. I think that the number of skeletal remains that the government has in its possession, it's something that we have to focus our attention on this and start returning them. I think the people of Guam might be surprised to know that there are over 2,200 skeletal remains that we have to put back in a respectful, honoring way.
Mm-hmm. And so the public comment, when does it end?
December 4th.
December 4th, okay. And the public comments go to your office, right?
Yes, it'll come into the SHPO's office, and then we'll take a look at that and see, work with other members on the team. I am the least member in the SHPO's office at this time that has been on this. Joe Garrido is probably one of the, and John Mark Joseph, the archaeologist, are probably two of the lead guys that have been advancing this, along with what Patrick Lujan has been doing. So I would definitely be listening to them and seeing what they think about the comments that come in.
You know, it was by chance that we actually found out that you were that you were the new SHPO. How long have you been there?
October 28th.
Okay, and it's permanent? It's a permanent appointment, or just
No. Patrick Lujan is a major in the Air Guard, and he got activated, and he's on a mission in Florida on logistics, and I'm just covering for him until his return in April.
Okay.
Did you have a lot of lead time for this, or did Pat just like find out it's like, hey, you're needed, you've got orders, you've got a few days to prep and everything like that, so we need to find someone to fill a spot? I mean, because I truly believe they picked the right person for the job. I mean, having a transition of leadership or a total changeover is always a very difficult thing, especially in the public sector. But the highest compliment and praise I can give you, because we've worked with you for so many years, is that that transition should be seamless, because you possess the same set of skills, the same passion for the job as Pat, and again, you know so much about the GovGuam protocol and everything. So certainly the agency is in very good hands.
Thank you. I kind of anticipated that this might be something that would be added to my plate. There had been the preliminary plan is that while he was gone, he would still be able to review documents, and and to work with John Mark Joseph and the staff and with me. But it just became something that we got concerned about, of any potential conflicts, and so even though he had the best of intentions to double up his workload for no money, it was decided to double up my workload.
Well, heavy hangs the head that wears the crown, as they say.
That didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
Well, hey, this, you're on the link. It's a safe place, and again, you're a KUM alum, so you're among friends here, Carlotta.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Carlotta, for coming on, and we look forward to having more talks with you.
And congratulations again.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Stay safe.
All right, let's keep it in the KUAM News Zoom room, where we have, in lieu of Lillian Posadas, William Kando of the Guam Memorial Hospital here to provide our hospital update. We try and get someone, well, usually it's Lillian every other day, to